Time's up, Admiral.
Here it comes.
Chevron 1, coded.
For my ally is the Force, and the powerful ally it is. Life creates it, makes it grow.
You failed, Your Highness. I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
Cry hammer, and let's set the dogs of war.
Chevron 2 is coded.
Conan, what is best in life? Crush your enemies, see them driven before you, to hear the lamentation of their women.
It's all in the reflexes.
Well, also said you're heavy into martial arts, Tai Chi and all that killer stuff.
I suppose we have to register you as a lethal weapon.
Chevron 3 encoded.
And somebody ought to belt you in the mouth. But I won't. I won't. The hell I will.
Chevron 4 encoded.
Do you expect me to talk? No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die.
Chevron 5 encoded.
You take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Chevron 6 encoded.
Not for while you can, monk boy.
Great Scott.
Back off, man. I'm a scientist.
You shall not pass! I thought I'd die fighting side by side with an elf.
What about side by side with a friend?
A day may come when the courage of men fails, when we forsake our friends and break all bonds of fellowship. But it is not this day.
Chevron 7 is locked.
Hail and howdy, everybody. Welcome back to Saturday Night Drive-In, where we take a break, we watch movies, we talk about them, and have a good time. And Jed, look, I remember this week. I fixed it. I did it. I remembered. I hope everybody's doing all right on this Saturday evening where it's cold outside. It's going to snow here tomorrow, Jed. It's going to snow.
It might snow here. We're getting frost on the ground every morning, so we're not far off.
Yeah, and then it's 55 by the middle of the day, and you're fine. So, yeah. Listen, I've been in Florida during the winter. I know it can get cold. So it can get cold. But not this cold. It's going to get cold or get snow now. But I've been smart. See, I have this trick. I buy the rock salt, the ice melt from Costco. Big ass jug, worth it. And if I have the foreknowledge, I put a perimeter around the car in the parking space so that it doesn't get nailed. Now, what goes on in the rest of the parking lot is a problem, but at least around my car, it's got a nice perimeter and it's safe to get into. Now, I'll have to go out there and probably brush shit off, but at least I won't be trudging through a couple inches of snow when it happens. Either way. How you doing, Jed? Your internet is alive, barely?
It's barely live. For some reason, StreamYards is the only thing working with my home internet right now because the government's come in and put a cap on my internet. I'm losing 90% of what I pay for it now. It's not the government, but yes, there is a cap on my internet, which is creating massive amount of problems. But I'm here. Luckily, it's working. And I just want to say Merry Christmas, everyone, and Happy Hanukkah to the Jew, to my ginger. It's nice to finally talk about a Christmas movie. We've been dressed up in Christmas shit for the last 2 weeks, and now we're finally talking Christmas stuff. And it's my fault, but
well, hey, you had that urge and you gave in because it was, but it was okay because it was paired with the relaunch of the channel. So I forgive you and Merry Christmas, everybody. I do love this time of year. I'm trying to. Since I've been sick, I have not been feeling festive, but I'm feeling better than I have in the past 4 weeks. So, Merry Christmas, everybody. Next week is the week where I'll start getting into it a little bit more. I'll start whistling the songs when I'm doing stuff. I'll start doing that, and I'll start watching the Christmas movies. So I already started. Well, this counted. Watching this one kind of kicked it off. Normally, I kick it off with Die Hard, which is a Christmas movie.
It is a Christmas movie.
It is a Christmas movie. But we're not going to debate that with anybody because we did that on this show, and we're not going to let it come up anywhere else because it's a pointless debate. Because people who think it's not a Christmas movie, they're not going to change their mind.
They're not going to change their mind, and they're just going to come up with new weird arguments.
Yeah.
Like subgenres aren't allowed to exist. That was one that I had to deal with on Tuesday.
I recently heard that just because there's X amount of Christmas stuff in the movie, minutes-wise, that's an argument against it because there's only X amount of Christmas stuff in there, but it's still a Christmas movie. Anyway, but so
I need to rewatch Die Hard for Christmas this year.
Oh, I watch it every year. It's usually what I start with. But because next week is the week I start watching Christmas movies leading up, I haven't gotten around to it. But because we started with this week's Scrooge. Go ahead. Go.
You do it a lot smarter than I do. I really condense all my Christmas viewings to Christmas Eve and Christmas Day.
Oh,
like I have a list, all the Doctor Who Christmas Special, A Wonderful Life, Love Actually, Die Hard, all of them just in quick succession, all in a 48-hour period. I don't really spread it out like I should.
Prof, I watch Lethal Weapon as well, and now I watch. It starts my Lethal Weapon marathon for the year. I'll watch Lethal Weapon 1, and then I'll watch all 4 of them because I watch Lethal Weapon as well. I've got a new one in there that I watch. It's the Just Friends with Ryan Reynolds. I for some reason it's a dumb movie, but I like it, and it takes place on Christmas. The whole thing is about being stuck back home for Christmas, and that's so I like that one. I enjoy it. It's really stupid. Last year I watched it. I think it was one for some reason last year it connected with me in terms of having it on. I watched it on repeat. I think at least 30 times last year.
Wow.
I just watched it over and over again at night to fall asleep. I left it on while I was doing stuff. For some reason, it became a comfort for me for last year. I just liked it. I don't know what happened. I watched it a whole fuck ton, but I did. And then there's other stuff. I'll watch Christmas Carol. I'll watch like a traditional version. I like the Patrick Stewart one that originally aired on TNT. There's maybe a couple of things. I watch White Christmas. Because you Bing Crosby crooning. Danny F and K dancing. So you got to watch White Christmas, and that's usually my rotation. That's kind of it. Now we're gonna get into this. Now we're gonna do this. So hey, how to the chat. Hope you guys are doing well. You guys having fun out there. Please hit those like buttons. We appreciate you guys being here on this Saturday night. Tonight we will be talking Scrooged, the Bill Murray adaptation of A Christmas Carol, Dickens' A Christmas Carol. And listen, I'm put this out here right away. This is not the pinnacle of adaptations. It is not. It is 1988. This is Bill Murray kind of beginning to reach the peak of his comedic movies and stuff like that, where now he doesn't have to be paired with anybody else. He can kind of go it solo and carry a movie by himself. And the movie really it all leans on him. He carries the entire movie. He's in just about every scene, and it's just fun. I think it's not a work of art. It's not even laugh out loud funny. I admit there's no laugh out loud funny moments in this movie, but it's amusing, and I like it. And I always forget this. There's a reason I think it works so well. Directed by Richard Donner.
I was shocked to see that in the end credits,
which explains why there's so many Lethal Weapon cameos in it. A lot of the actors that appear throughout Lethal Weapon are all over this movie, scattered all over, which explains. I'm watching it yesterday. I'm thinking, why am I seeing so many Lethal Weapon people in this? Oh, I forgot. Richard Donner directed this movie. That explains it. So there it is. So Jed, this was your first time watching Scrooge. How you feeling?
I enjoyed it well enough. It's definitely not going to be a movie that I rewatch without like someone wanting to. I'm not against rewatching. I'm not going to ever have the urge to rewatch this movie. The Christmas Carol classic elements I think are good. I understand what you're saying. It's not laugh out loud funny. It's kind of comforting, I think, is what it's trying to go for. Just easy. The thing that I have trouble with in this movie, and I admit this is fully a bias that is my own problem and nobody else's, I don't love Bill Murray. I don't necessarily have anything against him either. I think he works great on ensemble casts, like in Ghostbusters. I think that's a perfect role for him, where you've got other leads balancing out the more emotional connections where he's just the kind of funny asshole guy. He's great as the kind of funny asshole guy. But in solo leads, Groundhog Day is the only thing that I can really connect with him and enjoy him in the role. And that's because that one's a lot more serious, too, than something like this. So I struggle with his humor quite a bit. His screaming randomly as he's walking. But again, that's wholly me. That's not the movie's fault.
It's a taste thing. Yeah.
It's a taste thing.
Yeah.
And this was the 90s or whatever, the 80s. So
88.
88. So Bill Murray's immensely popular. So it's nothing against the film to lean into what was popular at the time, which was him. So I'm very lukewarm on this movie. If you look, my wife in the chat, she really hated it.
Rachel,
though.
like
she
didn't
really
like it.
couldn't stand it. But for me, it just felt fine. The Christmas Carol parts were great. I like some of the ideas they had, especially the Ghost of Christmas Past with the taxi meter. I really like that idea.
I definitely want to talk about the approach to the ghosts, because I'm definitely going to talk about it, because the movie does take a unique approach to each of the ghosts that breaks from the traditional Christmas Carol ghost presentation. So I definitely do. I was going to bring that up, but all right, I can understand that. Bill Murray, I've encountered plenty of people who, and not Bill Murray was an example, but where they say, I like this type of movie, but I don't like so-and-so as the star. So that's just a thing, and there's nothing that could be done. And we've only ever done, we've done Groundhog Day, and I think that's the only other time we've ever had Bill Murray on it, because we haven't done Ghostbusters yet, and we haven't done much other things that he's been in for the show. So this is only the second time we've done a Bill Murray movie, and I don't remember you saying that when we did Groundhog Day.
Well, Groundhog Day just is the exception that really works for me. So I probably wasn't actively thinking of it. And Ghostbusters is, of course, another exception or small role like he had in Zombieland. But I don't know what it is. When he just kind of goes off on his own and does his like screaming walk, like that moment where he walked into the homeless shelter and he's just screaming like a madman. The rants. I just have trouble connecting with his character. In Ghostbusters, we have other emotional cores like Egon Spangler and the other white one. I can't even remember his name right now. But those two I see as much more emotional fulcrums in that movie. And Bill Murray I see as the comic relief that I don't need to really take seriously. So
and you're not supposed to take him seriously. Oh, the only time you take him seriously, I think, is the very end when he has essentially the Scrooge revelation of I have been such a cruel and crummy person. And one of the faults of the movie, I think, is the movie doesn't do enough to show his past turning him into what he is. Because with the traditional Christmas Carol, you see the things that Ebenezer Scrooge's past. It starts off nice, but then one bad thing keeps happening after another, and he always chooses to seek out the selfish choice rather than the wholesome choice. And there was only really that one moment in his past. I mean, getting veal for Christmas, that kind of sucks. Obviously, that he in a good household didn't have a Christmas spirit, but he seemed okay after that. He wasn't miserable as he got older. When he first meets, when he first is at working as the mailman at IBC.
Yeah, all his hardship is his own fault. The way he dismisses the people at the Christmas party, and so focused on his work. Whereas the classic Christmas story, you're supposed to feel bad for Scrooge once you find out his backstory and being like, all right, that could turn anyone into the humbug man that we were introduced at the beginning. But with this one, it's just like, kind of seems like he was born this way.
And that's the fault of this movie. That is the primary fault of this movie, that Frank's background doesn't lend to his Scrooge behavior, because it didn't turn him into it. He turned it into himself. And that's
so it's harder to have sympathy with him.
Yeah, and Scrooge does it to himself too, but Scrooge had more opportunities to walk away from it. So the actual Scrooge story is better than Frank's, and that's one of the things. And I can admit that as much. And I enjoy this movie every year when I watch it. But what is the interesting part is, and we're not gonna. All right, I'll briefly go through people who don't know what's going on. Essentially, Francis Xavier Cross. Frank Cross is the president of IBC Network. Is this made up? Consider it like an ABC or a Fox, something like that. And it's based in New York, and he is at the top of his industry. He wins awards, gives all the kind of stuff. And it's Christmas, and now they've spent $40 million on a live action Christmas Carol that's going to be aired on the network on Christmas Eve. And
with interconnecting pieces from around the world. There's on location people in Africa, in Europe. This is insane. Even by today's standard, what he was trying to do was bananas. You've got to pre-record that shit.
Yeah, and they have, and at the time, it's got a. This is the 80s. The Olympics still meant something. Having Mary Lou Retton as Tiny Tim doing gymnastics, that's actually a pretty good grab in '88 for an idea.
I had no idea who she was.
Oh, she was massively famous for her performances in the 80s in the Olympics, at the Summer Olympics. Massive, popular, successful gymnast. So
today equivalent would be Simone Biles, even though of course there's more talent with the 80s woman.
Yeah, there was way more because remember, they were going up against the Soviets who were juicing in the 80s. All right? When you beat the Soviets,
I've seen Rocky IV.
Yeah, you know. Point is, so there is definitely some era specific things that this movie has, like Mary Lou Retton, Buddy Hackett playing the Scrooge in there, because that Buddy Hackett was still memorable at the time. And overall, it's essentially the Christmas Carol. Frank is horrible to everybody, including his brother. There's a few additional things in this. Instead of his nephew, it's Scrooge's nephew. It's his brother. You've got the addition of Bobcat Goldthwait as just this positive executive who has the bad luck of getting in front of him and getting in his way. That's an additional thing that doesn't happen in the Christmas Carol. But it's just Bobcat Goldthwait was also kind of on the rise during this period, successful stuff from stand-up, Police Academy, things like that. And
which one was that? Was that the guy who was helping him out?
No, the glasses guy. Bobcat Goldthwait was Elliot, the guy who got fired in the beginning, and he kept getting drunk throughout the whole thing and showed up with the shotgun.
Diet Rick Moranis.
Well, sort of. I mean, that was
just in his look. He reminded me of Rick Moranis a lot.
Yeah, I mean, generally Bobcat Goldthwait was known for more spastic comedy at the times. Like he would play really spastic characters in Police Academy and other movies. This was kind of a toned down version of what he usually does. But that's an additional character, additional layer. And then, of course, you've got Grace, played by Alfre Woodard, as taking the place of Bob Cratchit in this. And then, of course, everything else kind of falls into place. Karen Allen plays his love interest that in this case comes back. That's the change. That there are slight changes in this, that where it's not just Scrooge being nice to everybody, but he does get everything.
I would classify this as more inspired by the Christmas Story than an adaptation, and they're very upfront about it. It's not like they're trying to make the Christmas Story.
No, they're not going beat for beat. The closest thing are
they changed the name. That's a big deal for people. Is changing the name. It lets you know, all right, it's similar, but it's not a page for page remake.
Yeah, which is why we say adaptation, and which is why it's acceptable. Nobody,
absolutely,
whether you like, and in your case, not like Bill Murray, this movie is generally beloved by the public. It doesn't have a lot of criticism. It's just generally accepted as a fun Christmas movie, a good adaptation. And
it's a comforting movie. It doesn't really strain your mind. It doesn't make you laugh out loud like you were saying. It's just easy.
And the comedy is straightforward, a lot of sight gags. And you know what I like about it? It's not vulgar comedy. It's just nice comedy. And some of the best stuff is the ghost interactions. That's some of the best stuff in here. But it is,
good,
of course,
practical effects.
Practical effects too. Practical effects. And of course, I forgot, you got John Glover in it playing the LA lickspittle who comes in and tries to steal his job. We love John Glover's good in so many things. Doesn't get a lot of this. We love John Glover. I do in stuff. So it's an overall, I think it's a good solid cast. Everybody gives a solid performance, and there's no real dragging down of that. And of course, then you have the version of Tiny Tim is Grace's son, who they kind of just shoved that in there in the middle. Oh, he saw his father die, and it shocked him into not speaking. And
they said 5 years ago he saw his father die. They specifically said 5 years ago. I don't think that kid's old enough to have 5-year-old traumatic memories affecting him to this degree.
It might be 10 or 11, maybe. I don't know. But it's
I don't know if he's that old.
But it's trauma. It's a trauma. But it's what I do like is that they didn't go for the cripple, and they went for a different kind of disability, a mental
Mhm.
trauma. So it's little things that it makes the movie
all
work
the
in its own right.
modernization is some of my favorite aspects of it, like making him from basically he was a loan shark in the original. It was bank
I
related
say
in the first one, or
he's
was it
alone.
real estate?
He's I guess
I
Ebenezer,
can't remember.
Scrooge and Marley, they were loners. They would loan out money and collect on debt.
Okay.
Yeah, I
So,
think, yeah.
evolving that into a TV executive, I really like that idea. And as much as that ad that he released at the beginning was
God
completely
awful.
bonkers, that
Yeah,
was
that's the
awful.
point. That's the point. It's supposed to be so out
Exactly.
there that it's like, what is this? Are you
Mhm.
insane? Are
He
you
was
not?
definitely a little bit insane.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
all those aspects, I like the idea of a kid who couldn't talk. That might be just me reading into it because, or relating to it, because I didn't speak until I was 3 years old for some reason. And
You're
the
just deep
taxi,
thought. You had deep thoughts.
I was in deep thought. Yes,
Yeah.
I was in very deep thought. And the cab driver, the other two ghosts, I'm a little bit iffy about whether or not I like them,
Oh,
but a lot of the modernization
I
of
love the
bringing
Ghost
this
of Christmas
story.
Present. I love the Ghost
Yeah.
of Christmas Present because that's my favorite one. Just because
Really?
I love the slapstick violence that she
Mm.
just beats the shit out of him constantly, and in a funny way, not I'm a girl boss way, just I'm gonna give you with a sucker punch. I'm gonna
Mhm.
kick you in the balls when you're not looking. I'm gonna hit you with a toaster. Bitch, hit you with a toaster. So I mean, it's good stuff
And
like that.
I think that's in the category where it's a matter of comedic taste, because that ghost didn't work for me at all, the slapstick violence. But that's not necessarily a thing wrong with the movie. Like, I can't detract from the movie score because I didn't like that. It is a actual style that people like you yourself
It's
enjoy.
80s.
So
Very
it's
80s.
very 80s. So I struggle. I'm going to struggle at the end to be able to rate this fairly, just
Mhm.
because I feel so disconnected from a lot of it. The humor doesn't line up with me very well, and I didn't live through the 80s, so the references like the acrobatic Tiny Tim just went right over my head. So
Yeah,
I
that's
I
fair.
just feel disconnected. I can appreciate that it's staying mostly true to the Christmas Carol,
Yeah.
that it's fitting tones and beats that are familiar, doing comedy that people of that era really love. So I can appreciate that's taking a step back, but overall, I just feel a little disconnected from
That's a
everything.
fair thing to say because this is, as I said before, it's a movie of its time.
Mhm.
And I'm not gonna say this movie is timeless, but it holds up mainly because I think of the performances. And like you said, Bill Murray is not to your taste, but this movie is pure Bill Murray, where he's sarcastic, he's glib, he turns a phrase a lot, and he basically does carry every scene that he's in, and it's just amusing is the best word I can put. Bill Murray's never known for laugh out loud funny. He's never known for that. He's known for I'm amused while I watch him do stuff like that. I'm amused by the Bill Murray antics, and that's it. One of my favorite Bill Murray, I guess, pseudo pop culture in the wild stories that there was a period of time where he would go out in public quietly and kind of be inconspicuous, and he would creep up behind people and go like this behind them and say, "Guess who?" And that's like a story that Bill Murray used to do that to try and
Do that in the wrong city and you're getting stabbed.
It's like this we're talking a couple decades ago. We're not talking
True.
current day. But that's like a thing. And I see when I heard that story all those years ago, I thought that was hilarious. Because if you walk up and somebody goes, "Guess who?" and you turn on it's Bill Murray, it's like, "Whoa, it's Bill Murray. This is cool." And that's a Bill Murray thing to do to fuck with people. But
For
excuse me.
laugh out loud comedy, I would agree that he just seemed mildly amused most of the time, and that's the emotion that he garners in people.
Yeah.
The only time that I think I've ever laughed out loud to one of his jokes is one of his most famous ones, of course, in Ghostbusters. Is yes, it's true. This man has no dick. That's the only time that I was laughed out loud funny. I watched Caddyshack. I believe that was his movie,
Caddyshack,
right?
and he's a side character in Caddyshack. He's not the
I watched
star.
that one a long time ago, so I don't really.
Yeah, he
remember
plays the
it.
groundsman hunting the gopher in that one. In a lot of movies, like you go back to Meatballs, Stripes, where he did that with Egon. I suddenly forgot his name. So I forgot Egon's real name. Shit. Too many names.
Ivan
No, not Ivan Reitman. Ivan Reitman wrote Ghostbusters. He didn't. No, it was Chat's gonna get it in a second, and we're gonna look like idiots. Anyway, but notice that when in all those movies that he's in, it's never laugh out loud with him. It just isn't. And you go look. I say go look at any movie, even and there are Bill Murray movies I hate. Like I hate What About Bob. I hate there's a whole slot of them I don't like, but they're never laugh out loud. I'm amused. And then in the later parts of his career, he started doing more serious stuff that was kind of droll comedy, not heavy stuff, or not heavy comedy. So Bill Murray he's got range, but when it came to comedy, Harold Ramis. There's that. I got it for Chat. Corrected me. Took a second. Digging through too many names in my head.
For some reason, I thought Ivan Reitman played Igor.
No. Igor?
I don't know why I always
Egon.
Egon. For some reason, I thought they were the same person.
No. Harold Ramis. I remember now. Harold Ramis. Harold Ramis wrote Ghostbusters. Ivan Reitman did not write Ghostbusters. Harold Ramis and Dan Aykroyd wrote Ghostbusters. I'm correcting myself here. Anyway, but all those movies that Bill Murray's in, he has a thing. It's just, I'm here to amuse you, not make you laugh. It's not like an Eddie Murphy movie where you laugh out loud in any movie joke, or a Richard Pryor movie where you laugh out loud or stuff like that, or
Robin Williams.
Robin Williams, where you laugh out loud.
He's the 80s comedian that really works for me. I love all his movies.
Robin Williams was special. As we've talked about when we've done his movies, Robin Williams
timeless.
was rare, where Robin Williams could truly do it all. And Bill Murray did stand up, of course. He had to get to the point where he got on SNL, where he got his launching pad. But Robin Williams still did stand up after he transitioned to TV and movies because he was so powerful. And the brilliance of Robin Williams was the spontaneity. A lot of these other guys did sets. With Robin Williams, it's all 80%.
He's the king of improv.
Yeah, off the cuff. And I mean, that's why one day I would love to dig around and find the outtake reel of Aladdin to just to hear all the different things he did for the genie riffing. Because
there was so much. Yeah, they could have made 3 other movies with all that he improv.
The stuff that they did keep in there was still improv. That was not a script. Everything whenever he was doing impersonations as Genie in Aladdin, those were all improv. But we're getting off topic. But just compare and contrast different comedians, which I think is fair right here. Bill Murray does what Bill Murray does, and he does it great, and he did it great for a long time. Still does it when he really feels like it. Now he just, listen, he's old man now. He picks and chooses what he wants to do. When he locks it in, he can still lock it in and deliver it. And that's what he does with this movie. This is pure Bill Murray. I'm gonna range from really calm to spastic ranting moments and kind of over the top in a few moments here and there. But it works because it's Bill Murray. Now, let's talk about the ghosts. I think that's a good place because there's no reason to go through each of them because it essentially is the Christmas Carol in various. So you like the Ghost Christmas Past the best out of the 3 ghosts?
Yeah, just because it felt very strong stylistically and of the era. Just the whole taxi cab aesthetic, using the meter to show what year it was. I didn't necessarily like his comedy, like when he was actually talking. The cab driver himself, I didn't really care for one way or another.
Okay.
But just the ideas. I like the creativity from the writing standpoint of like, all right, how are we going to bring this classic into the modern day? I love stuff like that, like with Sherlock, with Benedict Cumberbatch, taking a story that's, of course, been done right a million times. There's few stories more adapted than Christmas Carol and Sherlock Holmes.
True.
We've seen it correctly, so now we get to play around with it because we've seen it correctly. And yeah, so I enjoy all the ideas they had with that, and I feel like they had they took it the farthest with the Ghost of Christmas Past to bring it into the modern day.
And one thing they really did in the original version of the Christmas Carol, the ghosts are empathetic to Ebenezer Scrooge. They're trying to be friendly with him. The ghosts in this one are antagonistic. The Ghost of Christmas Past is a complete dick to him, and Frank deserves it. Frank deserves every abuse he gets from the ghosts. But they're a dick to him. And as I said, my favorite is the Ghost Christmas Present. That comedian, she was also big at the time for what she did with her kind of light, high speaking and this. But the way she kind of flies in, and I was confused the opening attack with the punch, but no, it's the kick to the balls. And then she just punches him and beats him up. And I love that it's a different take because they remove the whole ghost of Christmas present dying as the night goes on because of he only exists in that one moment. She just is a fairy that is obnoxious and evil and is going to punish you. But I also really like that scene. I mean, I got it. As I said, my problem with one of the false movies is that the past doesn't really do enough, but the present stuff I think really hits home well. That how oblivious he is to those around him who want him in their lives.
Mhm.
I thought that the stuff with his brother James, who is of course played by his real life younger brother. That's one thing. Bill Murray, whenever he gets a chance, always gets his family in there because his
cool.
his older brother Brian Doyle Murray played his father in the past, and that was his real younger brother who had a brief acting career to try and be a Bill Murray Jr. and it didn't really work out well. But that was his real younger brother. So that's why there's some chemistry there because they're able to riff with each other like that. But
that was probably a real photo of them together as kids at the end.
Maybe I don't know if that because that's what the kid looked like in the flashbacks. So that might have just been doctored.
Oh, did they? Yeah, then yeah, probably not.
No, but they really that's where the chemistry, and that's why I like it. And I like that. I really do like that scene. Same with when the mirror of when Ebenezer goes and sees his nephew having the Christmas party. I like that because it modernized. They're playing trivia game and they're talking, and it's also he's my brother. So I like the family aspect of that. And you see that moment where Frank wants to stay there. He wants to listen game, and and it's that thing where been invited, this and that. So I like that feeling. And then of course getting a look into Grace's family life. And man, before her husband died, she was pregnant a lot. That's a lot of kids. There's a lot of kids. One of them is twins, so that kind of makes it.
That helps a little bit, but yeah, she was popping them out.
Popping them out. But I like that part.
I did laugh a little bit when the Ghost of Christmas Presents, like, you didn't realize when she was wearing all black for a year, you didn't realize that was a problem. I just thought it was a style choice.
Yeah,
that joke did work for me.
See, it's subtlety. It's the humor in the movie is subtle, and it works because it's Bill Murray. And then of course, I think I love it how like I mentioned before. And now close your eyes, feel it, and now feel it hits him with the toaster. Bitch hit me with a toaster. And then, of course, the comedy goes away when he finds the homeless guy frozen under there. Now, that guy got frozen and dead pretty quick. It was only a couple hours ago when he was in the shelter. Because all
does
this
not look cold enough. That is Antarctic cold to do something like that to a person. That's the thing.
Unlike A Christmas Carol, this movie only takes place over a 48-hour period. The actual story of Christmas Carol takes place over several days before leading up to Christmas Eve. This one starts the day before Christmas and then goes through Christmas Eve up until quarter to midnight when he emerges from his experience with the Ghost of Christmas Future, which I thought is also done very well because you have to. I really appreciated one of the things I like the most about that is the Ghost of Christmas Future is how we know he's got a skull under there, but it's a skull on a TV screen, which I think is a great parallel with Frank and how sometimes it overlays Frank with the skull and like that. And I thought also the Ghost Christmas Future was done pretty well too. My favorite is Ghost Christmas Present because of the slapstick comedy, which amuses me to this date. But
the Ghost of Christmas Present, I agree, is the best one from an emotional standpoint, showing him what he's missing out on. Again, the slapstick comedy didn't work for me, but the emotional beats, I think, worked really well. And the TV screen, just that idea of Frank's been filtering his universe through what he can put on as a facade through TV to the world.
Good point.
So his future being seen through that same lens, I think makes a lot of sense. And that transition that they had, there's a lot of great technical stuff in this film from a cinematography perspective. Because
Richard Donner. That's Richard Donner.
He made us believe a man could fly. So what else can he do? But that transition when the Ghost of Christmas Future first shows up and it transitions from the screen, you see the reflection of Bill Murray. The claw before that, but in the elevator when Bill Murray's stepping off the elevator and it's that weird slanted hallway and it just transitions from the TV screen into real life. That was a beautiful, beautiful transition. I don't love the emotional beats of just, it's your funeral and you're in the coffin on fire. And
it's
now
a little too quick. I mean, the movie's only an hour 35 minutes. It's a very short movie. And it's a very quick beat. That again, there's a fault there. It's
And
shot well, but
it's
there's a fault. Yeah.
It's a very quick beat, but also there's several people there mourning him, and that degrades from that moment in the original story. The Christmas
Well,
Carol, he sees his grave and no one cares. No
it's
one
just
cares
his brother
that
and
he's dead.
and his wife, his brother and his brother's wife. That's all.
I thought his ex-girlfriend was there as well.
No. That was the previous scene where she had in that version of the future, she had taken the advice of scrape them
those
off.
scenes. I didn't like those characters.
Here's the problem. Yeah, that doesn't. That's also a problem. There's no way that I don't see her going down that path.
No, I don't see that at all. And getting that much money, wearing that, it felt like a caricature. That's why this movie is very short. It's only like an hour and 35 minutes.
Hour 35, yep.
And that is usual for comedies, but The Christmas Carol is a weighty project, a meaty project. So I think they could have used that extra 20, 30 minutes to get to the 2-hour mark to flush out the emotional beats with the ghost. We have good stuff with him, but when he's making his change, it feels like instantaneous. Like he's running for his life from his ex-employee, and he's still the Scrooge that he's been the entire film. He's burning in the coffin, and then he comes back as this flamboyant.
It's too quick.
It's way too quick, and they had the time, I feel like, to play. Just because it was labeled as partially a comedy of the era, I think is a disappointing factor. Is that it was just the tradition of the era to have 90-minute comedies.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong that the one of the movie's faults is that his flip of the coin from heel to baby face, it's too quick. There wasn't enough done in the past. There was plenty done in the present.
I agree.
There wasn't enough done in the past, and the future parts of them don't make sense because we go back to this. The addition of having his lost love be still within reach, that is again a twist that this has the original doesn't, because in the original Christmas Carol, Scrooge is so old he's not going to find love again, that kind of love.
And he needs to find happiness within himself.
Yeah. And having Frank rekindle and find lost love, that's a twist on it, and it's good, but there's not enough work on it. There is enough work on it, and to have Claire be so 180 in the future like that, to be that kind of suddenly wealthy in that period of time, probably
the third act's just very jarring.
It's very quick is the problem, and there's not enough meat on the bone to establish.
There's not enough transition for the ex-employee as well, because yes, he's drunk half the movie, and there's gags about him trying to drink and not being able to for one reason or another, but he's out for murder. That's not something you go to lightly.
The problem is also
his boss is all nice, and he's like, "Yeah, let me threaten other people."
Here's the thing: Bobcat Goldthwait's Elliot Laddermilk. He's put in there as kind of an immediate. Since the movie takes place only over 48 hours, you need to see somebody that gets downtrodden quickly, as opposed to, because remember, you need Grace may be the Bob Cratchit version in this, but they're not. They could still afford food, and she's still able to feed her family of 5 and her mother. They needed because of that. Elliot Laddermilk is thrown in there to see the downtrodden nature of somebody suffering from Frank's actions, which Grace can't represent. They couldn't show that with Grace, because remember, in the original Christmas Carol, you see how poor the Cratchits are, the tiny little goose, the little bit of the little cake they can make, every little bit, and the dying of Tiny Tim and the inability to get medical care. Even though they show the son being the version of Tiny Tim, there's not enough there to show how downtrodden. So I believe the Elliot Laddermilk character is there to show somebody suffering the downtrodden nature of somebody who was the recipient of Frank's wrath. Problem is, it's also a little unbelievable that in 24 hours his wife would leave him and take the daughter and kick him out of the house. It's a comedy, so they rush it quickly, and that's why you sort of accept it, because it's done for comedic effect, but it is a little unbelievable. And
comedic bits done at the expense of the drama is a trope, but it's disappointing to me.
And then I know it's a comedy, but he assaulted people with a shotgun. He's going to jail. He's going to jail. I know it's a comedy and Christmas and people and maybe forgiveness, Christmas miracle like that. But no, Frank will not go to jail. Well, he might get it.
He probably will because it's an accomplice. They were talking to each other. They're clearly working together. But he facilitated the threatening.
He's got better lawyers than Elliot does. So
that's true.
He's probably got better lawyers. But
it'd be a misdemeanor probably.
Yeah. But Elliot's going to jail.
They're still criminal. Mm-hmm.
He fired that gun.
He's still ruining lives. He's just doing it with a smile and naivete.
Yeah. So that part's... But unfortunately, it's there to be a final catapult and set piece for Frank's grand turnaround during the thing. And I really do like Bill Murray's Frank's speech during that whole final scene. It's a great speech. It is very hopeful and uplifting.
It's very raw with how much he stammers as well. Like it doesn't feel polished.
I bet it's a little off the cuff. I bet there's a little ad-libbing going on there. And they probably shot it several times. And that was the one that Donner liked the best. That's my guess. But it comes off well. It comes off real is a thing. That's why I like it. It comes off real and grounded. And I believing, even though they didn't quite complete the homework to get him there, I believe his turnaround in that speech. And I like he gets the happy ending. I like everybody's happy. He's not going to get fired because clearly his boss is happy seeing all this stuff. And the ratings are probably through the roof because everybody's watching and everybody's like, oh, this is so nice. And it's probably great publicity for the network and stuff like that. But it's still, while fun, it's not heartwarming.
Mm-hmm.
That's the difference. And for between this and an actual Christmas Carol ending where Scrooge shows his turnaround and does all these things and is humble. Because even all this stuff, Frank is still not humble in all of this. He's still not humble. Scrooge gets humbled in the Christmas Carol, and that's why that makes that good turn on there. So that's all I got. You got anything else you want to
say? Not really. I think there were some mistakes made. I think there's a lot of era stuff that is keeping me from being fully invested in it, which isn't the film's fault. But at the end of the day, I think this movie just needed more time. There are great ideas in here. There were things that I really liked. It just needed more time to flesh them out. And it's a Bill Murray movie, so of course they were going into this with comedy being the chief genre. But Christmas Story isn't a comedy. I mean, there's comedic elements even in the original book, but it's a drama first and foremost. So just losing the dramatic elements for the sake of comedic bits downgrades the impact of the story, I think, in a lot of cases. Even adding in a scene at the end where he actually goes and sees his wife and his brother, and has a family dinner
like
help a lot
in the Christmas Carol where Scrooge says, is there still room for me here?
Mm-hmm. That's a much more heartwarming version. Or finding out that Grace, yes, she's able to feed her family, but not able to give them an extravagant feast. So he sets up a big feast for the cast, crew, and his brother on set, and he facilitates everyone getting fed. There are a lot of easy ways to get that heartwarming ending. That speech, I think, worked to a certain extent. It showed a different perspective to the world, and I like that idea. I think it went on way too long. The speech was too long, but we needed an emotional closer. But that wouldn't have been funny.
Claire's supposed to be the emotional closer. Claire. That's supposed to be... And, of course, the kid saying, God bless everyone, and speaking. That's supposed to be the emotional closer. And it's nice. It's nice.
Which, that was a good moment when the kids finally spoke.
But the movie itself... well-directed, well-acted. And I think the reason it holds up is because Richard Donner, outstanding director in the time. And he knows
the
how to make
technical prestige of this film is unparalleled. And Danny Elfman doing the track. There are a lot of Tim Burton elements. Like, it felt like Tim Burton a little bit sometimes. And that's probably Danny Elfman.
So there's more positives than negatives in this movie. But it's, in the end, it's still a fun movie. I enjoyed it. And that's why I'm giving it a 7.5 out of 10. It gets the job done every year. I'm always pleased. I have a good time. I like Bill Murray. I like 80s Bill Murray a lot. That's a lot of good stuff. Getting the 90s and 2000s, I tend to not really care for what he does there. But 80s Bill Murray, that's Bill Murray at his peak. So 7.5 out of 10. What is your struggle for this one? Because you said you were going to struggle.
Well, I just struggle to see this film objectively or subjectively. I have such an
That's fair.
emotional disconnect from the film that I can't garner enough emotions to have a subjective opinion on it. And objectively, I miss out a lot of the references and everything like that. So I have to focus on the dramatic elements and the turn of his character, like the rushing that we see at the end. I think those are what really drag down the film and become a problem. If they had just utilized a normal drama film's runtime rather than sticking to the comedy, this could have been a great film that I love. But there are so many great nuggets in here that I can't dislike it. I absolutely cannot dislike this film. I get why people like it. I'll gladly rewatch it, just not something I'm ever going to look out for. So I have to give this film a 6 out of 10. I feel like that's pretty fair.
You've made your case, and you're right. And you're right. I have nothing wrong with what you said there. It's a fair and balanced take from how you're approaching it, and because if you can't get into the era of it, you can't get it. And when you say a drama, we're about a decade and a half away before Bill Murray is going to try and do more dramatic roles, and because he's capable of it. At that time though, it was out of his wheelhouse. He wasn't even going to go near that, but he is capable of it. But
I don't think I've ever seen a full dramatic Bill Murray film.
There's that movie with ScarJo that he did, Lost in Translation. I believe that's
I have not seen that.
I've seen I think part of it, but that's a dramatic role. It's not a comedy. So and he does, and a couple other times he's done some dramatic stuff. He's capable of it, but it's not his thing. But he's capable of it. Not like Robin Williams, as we said, who could run the gambit of emotions no matter what it was, because Robin Williams was genius, pure genius. All right, that's it. Jed doesn't get to choose for next week because it's up to you guys. You have to go over to the post tab on my page. You'll see there it is. You have to submit suggestions. You have until tomorrow by the end, of Roundtable, and then we'll collect them. We're going to give you a few days to vote, and then whatever wins after a poll, we will watch it for next weekend. So it's up to you guys. And then we're off for Christmas, and we'll be back right after New Year's. So there it is. So
go over there and put in Christmas movies.
Let's
get some great Christmas movies in
Christmas movies, yeah. White Christmas
Die
in
Hard.
there. We already did.
We've already done Die Hard.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna try. Die Hard 2 may take place during Christmas, but it's not really I will not make the argument.
Not to the same degree.
Yeah, Die Hard 2 is not a Christmas movie. It is not. It just takes place during Christmas. That's because that could be any busy holiday moment at Dulles where they decided to do that. So that I will not make the argument Die Hard to Christmas movie. I'm not going to be that die hard of a debater on that one. Anyway, so it's up to you guys. But thank you everybody for joining us. We appreciate you. And if we don't see you before then, Merry Christmas, everybody. And be a little nicer to everybody. I don't have to be nice to certain people because I've been paid not to, but be a little nicer. Until then, everybody, take it easy. Have a good night or day wherever you may be.